What's up, guys, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. Real quick before questions, we need to give a shout out to Fletcher Rudd, who recently joined our Patreon at the Jedi Master level, so thank you so much, Fletcher. Also, you just may notice some mess here. We're in the middle of a project, but the work has stalled. I need more men.
Our first question comes from Jim W., who asks if we think any of the new characters will die in Episode 9, or will they be kept around for future stories? So, like...
Anyone new.
Like Zori Bliss, or any of the Knights of Ren.
Any of the sequel trilogy characters, I think. Like, any of them. Rey, Finn, Poe, Rose. I think anyone that's specifically been created for the sequel trilogy, will they die? I'm going to guess no. Even Kylo Ren. I'm guessing no to a Kylo Ren as well. I think everyone in this movie might make it out.
Yeah. And... yeah, Leia, I don't think they're going to kill her. They would have to have a scene for that, and I don't think they filmed anything like that.
I just think that, like, when you look back at the original trilogy, it's very much got a hopeful ending. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to stick with that. Now, people like Hux, Zori, Pride, they're more likely candidates, I think. I'm not saying no one's going to die in this movie, but I think of the major characters, I think that they're all going to be fine. In the theater, when we were seeing The Last Jedi, I legit thought that Rose had died in that scene. I did too.
And I was a little surprised that she didn't. And so because of that, I don't know. I don't think they'll kill her, but if I had to pick one...
I was going to say, I was going to make us pick one just for fun.
But although I feel like Poe would do something reckless to get himself killed before Rose would.
Poe was going to be my guess. If I had to choose one person, it would be Poe, because he was originally supposed to die at the beginning of The Force Awakens, and he convinced JJ to let him live. Now that the trilogy's ending, I don't know. Maybe that could turn around.
Or they could sideswipe us and it would be someone like Connix.
Sure.
Who would be really sad, but she's not like a main character.
Yeah. I'm trying to mostly think of the big three or four. Which, yeah, like I'm leaning towards... I guess Kylo Ren might be more likely to die than Poe, but I don't know. At this point, I'm leaning towards him surviving.
Patty K wants to know if The Rise of Skywalker is going to have too many new characters to give them all enough screen time.
There are a lot. I mean, we named a handful of them, but like Zori, Pride, Bulio, Babu Frick.
Oh, yeah, and what's his name?
Klaus.
Cloud. I was like, Claude.
Cloud's from Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, that is a lot. And Dio, Janna, that's a lot of characters. I think that some of those that we've heard about, probably Claude, Bulio, Babu Frick, I could see all of them being kind of like 9-nub level characters from Return of the Jedi, where it's just like, oh, fun alien co-pilot, but not a major character. I think that they're all probably going to be in 1 or 2 scenes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think all these new characters necessarily need a ton of explanation and backstory and whatnot. At least definitely not in this movie. They might get them for future stories, like in comics, books, spin-off series. They could show up.
Almost definitely.
Yeah, cartoons. But yeah, we'll probably get some backstory on Zori because she has something to do with Poe and his past. And
I think Janna.
Yeah.
I think Janna and Zoe are probably going to be the 2 big ones. Pride, I don't think he'll be a huge part of the movie. He's going to be... He'll have something to do, obviously, with the First Order. He'll throw a kink in someone's plans.
He feels like just another First Order big shot who is coming into the scene and, like, trying to take over, trying to, be in power.
Yeah, I don't see him needing a bunch of backstory or screen time even to be impactful. I think that we'll probably really focus on Zori and Janna and our other familiar characters, and then the rest are going to be more side support.
Patrick Ferreira asks if we want Snoke's backstory covered in episode 9. No.
I don't think we need it.
We don't.
I do think he will be mentioned. I bet that there will be some sort of scene with Palpatine talking about how he used Snoke as his puppet. And, like, that's probably going to be it.
We're not going to get the backstory that so many people desperately want from him, I don't think. At least not in this movie. But I agree, like, maybe Palpatine will bring it up just, like, really quickly. Like, Snoke was dumb and screwed everything up and
something. Yeah. I think that, there will be a couple lines about Snoke, but we're not going to get a full-on backstory until the book or the comic or whatever they decide to do.
Matthias Grabowski wants to know if we could see a live-action Inquisitor in the Kenobi series. That would be cool.
Yeah, I really like that idea, and here's why. I think I've mentioned something like this before, but like I'm not crazy about the idea of Obi-Wan leaving Tatooine unless it's for a very good reason. Mm-hmm. An Inquisitor could make that happen. Like if an Inquisitor came and saw this kid and maybe put some pieces together and was like, I gotta go tell the Emperor, and maybe her cell phone was broken, and then they go leave, and then Obi-Wan's like, I have to go chase this person down and stop them before they tell anyone about Luke. And maybe the Inquisitor leads him back to Vader, something like that. Like, yeah, that opens up some possibilities.
That would be crazy because, like, Obi-Wan, does he know about the Inquisitors?
I think he's probably heard.
Because if he just runs into one, all of a sudden he's going to be like, whoa.
Where'd you get that lightsaber, friend? That's awfully fancy.
Lorenz Markov asks what our favorite Star Wars moment from the past year has been.
I think I've got to go like with a personal one and say being up on the Star Wars show stage at Celebration was pretty awesome. Getting to break down the trailer live right after seeing it. Mm-hmm. That's at the top of my list.
I'm going to go with Celebration too, but just in general, all of Celebration, it just felt so different than Orlando, and we were insanely busy the whole time. But it was like nonstop fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know, getting to meet so many of you guys and the viewers was just like mind blowing.
It's so fun to just get outside of the online world and like actually shake your hands and geek out together. That's so much more fun than doing it on Twitter.
Yeah.
Celebration is just the best time.
I got to do my first Schmodown, which I didn't do super poorly, but...
You did well. Stop saying that. You did really well.
Yeah, that was a big moment for me because I was like, okay, I can kind of show off my own trivia chops.
Yeah, you hung in. You did good. If you were looking for more of a story top moment, then the one that came to mind first for me was an Alphabet Squadron. There's a scene where there are two squadrons, a New Republic one and an Imperial one, and they, for reasons that I won't get into, I'll try to still avoid some spoilers, but they can't fight each other right then. So they're just kind of hanging out and waiting for the fighting to start. And Will Lark, one of the characters in the book, just tries to have a conversation with them. And I don't know, that's the moment in that book where I was like, this is awesome. I really liked that part. So that's still very fresh in my mind.
We forgot a super big one.
We did?
Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
Getting to go to Galaxy's Edge was insane.
And that's kind of a story one as well.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say, when we got to build lightsabers, I can't count how many times I kind of like choked up a little bit because it was so good. And just like exploring that whole park just from corner to corner, like trying to find little Easter eggs and everything. Just, that was amazing.
It is a dream come true.
I can't wait to go to the Florida one.
Me too. And ride Rise of the Resistance when December, I think. Yeah. That's it for patron questions. If you're a patron and you didn't see your question answered here, just head over to Patreon where we left you a written response. If you're not a patron, you can learn more by following the link in the description. Just $1 a month will get you access to extra Star Wars Explained content like audio commentaries for the films and for the Clone Wars, which we're going through chronologically, and this week's episode is Evil Plans. So that's all available right now if you're interested.
On to YouTube questions. Padawan of Christ asks if Palpatine was so strong because he had to be equal in power to all of the Jedi of the galaxy.
I think there's something to that. Snoke says darkness rises and light to meet it, so I would imagine the opposite is also true. Mm-hmm. Light rises, darkness to meet it. And in the old Darth Bane trilogy, that was kind of Bane's thinking when he was doing the Rule of Two. He was like, we have all of these Sith and we're all sharing the power that the dark side gives us. So I'm just going to whittle it down to two of us and then all of that power will be ours. So yeah, I think that there is probably an element of that to Palpatine and his power.
Yeah, I like that way of thinking because that would explain just how seductive and powerful Palpatine was.
And it encourages the backstabbing that Sith are always doing. Like,
yeah.
they crave power for themselves. They don't want to share anything.
Yeah. Can't share anything with them.
Can't take them anywhere.
No.
They can't have nice things.
Jacob the Hodge wants to know if there are any Legends characters we absolutely do not want back in canon. I will say clones. Like, just clones in general. The Palpatine clones, the Luke clone.
Luke.
I don't want to see clones. I think it's just... I don't want to say lazy writing, but it's I don't know. It just doesn't work for the current canon where they're taking it, I don't think.
Well, I still have mixed feelings about Palpatine coming back because I'm worried that, they'll just make him a clone. And it does feel like, oh, we don't know where to go, so we're going to just bring back the old bad guy. Anytime that happens, like, it can work, and I'm hopeful that it'll work in The Rise of Skywalker. And I do think that it makes sense, honestly, to have one overarching evil for these 9 films. But yeah, like, I don't want him to be a clone. I agree. I don't like clones of main characters. Mm-hmm. Clone troopers are great.
Oh, yeah. I didn't mean
I knew what
that.
you meant. Clone troopers, I'm all about them. But yeah, anytime you're like, now we're going to clone Luke and we're going to clone Palpatine and we're going to clone this person, it's like, okay, you don't have to clone everyone.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of struggled to think of something, and I'm going to go with Abeloth. I thought that, hey, Pippin, I thought Abeloth was just weird.
She seemed like super powerful, but in a very unstable way.
Yeah.
And just understanding her story and how it fits in Star Wars is difficult.
Honestly, I kind of think this about a lot of the villains in Legends. Like, it gets to be kind of a Dragon Ball Z power creep thing, where, I mean, Luke is getting stronger and stronger, so the enemies have to get stronger and stronger, and some of them I felt were a little absurd. But then, I don't know, some of them weren't really, like, Force related. There was this one thing that was like an interdimensional god that tried to kidnap the Solo kids, and like, is it Waru? That one's escaping me right now, but yeah, some of the villains were just very, very strange, but I think Abeloth is probably one that I'm like, I'm cool with her staying over in Legends.
Jedi Spartan 38 asks what the upper limit of Force powers should be when we start to explore the Old Republic era.
So, kind of still talking about power creep. So, if we're going backwards in time, what's the opposite of power creep? Basically, should people be less and less powerful?
Were the Jedi back then seemingly more powerful than during the...
In Legends, I would
Republic
say
era?
that you have Sith Lords that can do insane stuff. And I don't really think that there needs to be a difference. Like, I don't think it would be a problem if we jumped back and people are still doing really amazing stuff with the Force. Yeah, I don't really think there needs to be an upper limit. It's more just like, let's keep it somewhat realistic. And
Yeah, but I do think if we were to see something from the Old Republic, I think it would work to see Force abilities at a very heightened, like,
so you'd almost
place.
want people to be more powerful, like see the Force be used on display more often. And
yeah, because I feel like back then the Force itself was just bigger, stronger. It hadn't been, meddled with quite as much. And I think over time, maybe the balance of the Force itself was kind of like, all right, let's take it back a notch. See, like you're abusing the power of the Force, so you're not going to get as much of it.
See, my gut reaction is that the Force is constant and it wouldn't change over time. But like you reminded me of something that we talked about on the What the Force podcast, where this idea that the Force might be sick and that, people have been meddling with it. So I don't know, you might be onto something there where it could have been more easily accessible. Mm-hmm. Like I don't see the Force itself being stronger, but maybe more just the connection to it was different back then.
Yeah.
So I think that there could be some differences in how the Force is shown in older or future eras. Mm-hmm. But my gut says that it'll be largely the same.
Martin Kimball wants to know what we think of the statue that looks like Maz Kanata in Anakin's bedroom in Episode 1. I think it's a fun little Easter egg, and that's it.
I think it was a happy coincidence.
Yeah.
I think that they made or got this statue, and then down the line, J.J. Abrams creates Maz Kanata, and then someone pointed out, hey, that looks awfully similar to that statue. And then in the Complete Locations reference book, it kind of alludes to the fact that this might be Maz Kanata. It's like a statue of an old pirate queen. And like Maz Kanata is 1,000 years old at least. So I do think that statue is meant to be Maz Kanata now.
Now, yeah. I don't think during filming, George Lucas was like, I've got an idea for a character. Let's put a little Easter egg in there for... No, it's, like you said, it's a happy coincidence.
But what does it mean? I think it just means that Maz has been pirating for a long time, and then Anakin came across this statue. I don't think they've ever met or anything, but...
No, but I like the idea that maybe he heard stories about her.
Sure.
Like, people just knew her name.
I think this could just be one of those, like, the Force works in mysterious ways, and it's all connected kind of thing, even if it's an accident.
Yeah. Daniel Patterson asks if we're ever frustrated that the movies are made with the more general movie-going audience in mind rather than the hardcore fans. No. I think that's a good way to make movies.
Yeah, like, I'm not either. The movies are the entry point for so many people. So I think that you have to make them more accessible. You don't want to just throw someone in the deep end and now they're confused. I mean... Lucasfilm is a business first and foremost. Star Wars is a business. And like I get my hardcore Star Wars stuff from the books and the comics. That's where things are for the hardcore fans. Now, I do think they could go a little bit further in showing some Easter eggs. I thought Solo did it pretty dang well. And like they just kind of trusted the audience to figure out how Maul survived.
Yeah.
A lot of people were surprised by that.
Yeah. And I think now with Disney Plus coming out and the ability to have TV shows, I think they'll definitely start to explore things that the more hardcore fans will be really excited about. I think that's the perfect place to do it.
Yeah, and I think part of it is that Star Wars was in this book comic. Like, that's all it was, and not a lot of people read them. Like hardcore Star Wars fans did, but the general movie-going audience did not. And so now it's like they kind of have to build up their film universe until they can do a lot of like references and Easter eggs and stuff like that, like the Marvel movies do so well.
I was gonna say, imagine if the Marvel movies were geared more towards the hardcore Marvel fans. Like, it would be so much more confusing.
Right. Like, you have to teach people what these things are. Like, I had to be taught a lot about Marvel through the MCU, and then I started noticing things, and the same is true with Star Wars. That's all the time we have for questions today. If you want to leave a question for next week's video, just put it in the comments below or sign up for Patreon to join our weekly Q&A discussion. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
And as always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.